This multimillionaire says he would not touch a mutual fund. Why?
But you don't know if you don't know, right?
Keep listening.
So this is one of the things in your book, right? It's the concept of investing in assets and understanding the difference between an asset and a liability.
Mm-hmm.
So for the financially yet to be literate, what are those concepts and why are they so important?
Again, all coins are three sides, heads, tails, and the edge. That's the other side. So for there to be an asset, there has to be a liability, by definition.
Oof.
If you understand that one, you'll say, okay, so here's the asset. What's the liability?
Give me an example.
Well, I wouldn't touch a mutual fund.
Oof.
Do you know, that's toxic.
Why?
But the liability is the Black Rocks or the fund managers who package that stuff. All coins have three sides. I'm on the other side. I package it. That's why Buffett called, derivatives weapons of mass financial destruction. I package that debt. And that's how I make my money. So I know what those guys who are like BlackRock and all these guys, the mutual fund, the Vanguard, they're just packaging garbage and selling it. I wouldn't touch it.
What should the average person do
then
with their savings right now, from your perspective? Like in broad strokes, not some particular asset class or something, but what like if I have savings that I can put somewhere, what's a good strategy for me?
He
Well,
might
you
say
better
silver.
study. A village idiot and their money are soon gone. They all disappear. If you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, it's the number one book in the world for 27 years. And I flunked out of school because I can't write. And the publishers of New York, like Simon & Schuster, they all turned Rich Dad, Poor Dad down. They said, because they're like my poor dad. These academics are the worst people on planet Earth because they have this stupid piece of paper that says, you're smarter than that guy over there. I used to say, my poor dad, it's a piece of paper. Show me your financials. Oh, I got my PhD. If you can understand the insanity of that somebody actually thinking their PhD makes them smarter than the village idiot out there. If you can understand that insanity. So anyway, I don't know where I was going with this whole thing. But that's why Trump and I are good friends, because we sit there and laugh and chuckle. When he was debating Hillary, that criminal, the violence, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
No, they are.
She's a criminal. Mm-hmm.
They are.
You're not wrong.
Well, when Hillary says, and he doesn't pay any taxes, and Trump says, that means I'm smart. I don't pay taxes. Only idiots pay taxes.
You're making a lot of friends with this stuff.
Bro, my poor dad hung on to his PhD. I'm like, you're broke, you're working hard, you pay taxes, and you're saving dollars, and they're printing dollars. But I have a PhD.
This is where the confusion is. Most people are like, so what should I do with my money? Once we're saving, you've seen the journey that we're on this channel right now, where we're close to now saving 20K in under 6 months, under a year, essentially. But now you start to think, okay, cool. Well, now I'm amassing all this money, it's starting to rebuild. Where should I put it? What should I invest in? How can I beat inflation? These are all genuine questions that the average person has.
Printing dollars? But
And
I have a
printing it.
PhD. My other friend has a real estate license. He says, I have a real estate license. You don't. I said, yeah, because I don't want. I have a real estate license. I think I'm doing my best for your audience to show the insanity of our public today. They think a lousy piece of paper like the dollar bill is important. Well, it's a piece of paper. It's a derivative.
If those things aren't important, what is?
Assets. So in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I said there's three main rules. The rich don't work for money. What I do as a capitalist is I create assets. So I take debt, all this, I assemble, I put a piece of real estate together or business, or like right now I'm up in northern Canada buying lithium fields. We're going to crush lithium for batteries, EV batteries and batteries. So we create assets. And so that asset pays money. So every month, let's say I have 1,600 rental units. Every month, 1,600 people who would probably went to school pay me rent. God bless them. And guess what? Because they're paying me and my properties are 100% debt, I pay no taxes. That's why Trump says I'm smart. But the average person says, well, I pay more taxes than you. I said, well, you're an idiot. No, if you understand tax law, America was founded as a tax revolt. 1773 was a thing called the Boston Tea Party. We don't want to pay taxes. But if you read Karl Marx in his book, The Communist Manifesto, taxes are essential for the spread of communism. My poor dad was also head of the labor union. What did Marx say about labor unions? Workers of the world unite. You understand?
You're getting back to the basics here. This is great.
But I understand this stuff. That's literacy, you know? So anyway, rich don't work for money. I create assets. We don't save money. And your house is not an asset. So the average poor person, went to college like my dad, PhDs. Go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, get out of debt, and you buy a house because your house is your biggest asset.
Let me know in the comment section down below, because a ton of people say, oh no, your house is an asset. How could you argue with someone who's accomplished so much financially, and they know a lot, and they've got, they're best friends with Trump, rich people who've actually been successful with money. It's very difficult to argue against that when they're saying things like this. So that's where the confusion comes. And then a ton of people who haven't, acquired anything, I use that term loosely, they're telling you, no, buying a house is amazing, it's the best thing. So let me know, where do you stand? What's your standpoint? Do you think a house is an asset, a liability, especially a house that you live in? I want to hear from you in the comment section. What should they please like the YouTube video to help
That is
it?
the dark side of the coin, but it's the light side for the idiots. They're doing what they think is smart. The guys on my side, like Trump's side, going, I wouldn't do that. But you can't tell them that because they got this stupid piece of paper. Says, you're smart. My dad says, I'm smarter than your rich dad. I said, yeah, you're also broke.
So this is a radical thing for people to hear that haven't read your book. The idea that your home is an asset. I mean, I think this is the largest asset on most people's personal portfolio, personal balance sheet.
Their home.
Is their home, right? So but how is your home not an asset?
Because you have to understand cash flow. Two most important words. If you read financials, that's what your banker wants to see. Your banker wants to see a financial, not your GPA, not your report card, not your college degree. They want to see assets, liabilities, and cash flow. So there's three basic parts to a financial statement: income statement, balance sheet, statement of cash flow. You can teach a monkey that, but our schools don't teach that.
It is shocking that still to this day, a high school graduate will not encounter those three ideas.
Because they're taught by Marxists. No, they are.
You and I agree on that.
No, I don't mean they're bad people. Please hear me wrong. That's what this is a ring. I'm called a ring knocker. There's 5 federal academies: West Point, Naval Academy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Kings Point. I went to Kings Point in New York. The first book we're required to read is the Communist Manifesto.
Really?
Yes, 1965, I'm reading the Communist Manifesto going, because it was economics. That's real economics, not that bullshit they teach you in school, Econ 101 and Econ. No, it's communism versus capitalism. Adam Smith versus Karl Marx. It's basic, but our academics are idiots. They got this piece of stupid paper that says you got a PhD, and going,
Smart.
Good, pay me my rent, I'll be happy.
So when you encounter a student who is under the throes of belief that communism is the future and that, look, capitalism has failed for whatever reason, what do you say to them?
Got to study a little bit more. I'm not saying I'm not saying being a Marxist is bad, because my economics teacher was a West Point graduate, U.S. military school. I went to military school. He was a West Point graduate. He flew B-17s in World War II. Got shot down, captured, escaped, all that stuff. And he says, economics is like a religion. So you could be Catholic, you could be Hindu, you could be Jewish,
I see where this
you
is
could be
going.
Buddhist. So economics is like an economic religion. And he says, some Marxists believe in this religion, capitalists believe in this religion. So I'm reading the Communist Manifesto, 1965. My family are Marxists. And my dad headed the teachers union. Can you imagine that? And that's what Marx said, labor workers of the world unite, form unions. And so I worked for my rich dad one time during a union, because my rich dad was the exact opposite of my poor dad. Rich dad was a capitalist. And his workers went on strike. So rich dad called me up and he says, come help us out. So I went down to his hotels. He owned hotels. And I'm working behind the desk. So I'm out there for like 3 or 4 days because, there's no workers. Workers are on strike and all this stuff. They were voting for unionism. That's what the workers were on strike for. I got home and my poor dad said, where have you been? I said, I called home every night. He said, I know, but where have you been? I said, I was working. He says, you're a scab.
Poof.
You broke the union lines. It was the end of my relationship with my dad. He says, you're a scab. I went, but Dad, I was just helping this guy out. No, you should have let those guys strike against him. That's the number one rule of Marxism, abolition of private property.
Yeah,
If you just read the books, you know what I mean?
I did a recent video about a couple videos about Marxism, and I think that is essentially what I understand to be the simplest definition is the abolition of private property is communism.
Yes. But how you get there is that
Difference.
workers of the world unite, go up against them, strike, take their money. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but that was my father.
It's a hard environment to try to understand which assets to buy. So is there a way and how to get your first step on the ladder? Like, I think it's easy for people to think
Property
about,
ladder?
well, I'm going to get a job and I'm going to enter this field. I'm going to get whatever entry level opportunity and work my way up. What's the equivalent in the asset world for that first rung of the ladder?
Well, again,
Before he answers that, I'm just going to touch upon everything that he said. I think it would be very arrogant of you. And I feel like most people aren't rich because they're stupid, but it's because they're arrogant. They don't want to listen. Okay. And not just saying listen so that you could do what the person is telling you, but just to be open enough to sit down and listen. Okay. Could I be wrong? Does this person have more than I have? It's not all about money, but yes. Could they maybe be around people who know more than I know? Yes, it's a likely possibility that they're around people who know more than you know, because they have the means to be able to rub shoulders with those people that you might not be able to rub shoulders with because you just don't have those means, right? So, in whose interest would it be? Would it be my best interest or in their best interest to listen to what needs to come out of their mouth? Because every single time I open my mouth are things that I already know because it's coming from my brain. But if I stay quiet and I listen and I maybe even implement, if you go as far as to do that, then things might change, things might happen, especially if you're complaining about your current situation. So I've always found it silly to not sit down and listen and take in what somebody else has to say, because no matter their level, their situation, or the stage that they're in they're in their lives, you're the one who's going to win. And in this case, I genuinely feel like I've always felt this. There's something that's off, especially with the house market, how they always want to get a mortgage, and even how the word mortgage itself, mort in French, is death. I've always found that very, very odd. I'm sure I'll see a bunch of comments in the comment section down below. No, mortgages are good. To each their own, I guess. But I'm just saying there's something very, very weird and fishy going on. Take it for whatever you want to, take it for. But that's just me, and I guess Robert and a few other people who are finally starting to build something for themselves. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I want you to finish the rest on this channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. God